that we are asking is, hospital negligence is costing human lives. Will the Bhubaneswar fire tragedy discipline us to follow rules and norms diligently? And to answer that question and others associated with it is Mr. A.K. Sharma, former director of the Delhi Fire Service. First of all, this is a hospital. So, I mean, there is medical negligence when people die, but here people are, you might have the best doctors, you might have the best medical facilities, but if the building itself catches fire, then what do you do? So, I mean, what do you think preliminarily? Do you think that this building was following the norms?
I think to me it appears that there is a gross negligence on part of whosoever was responsible for managing the affair of in that premises. All due precautions were not taken, and that is why this incident has happened. And I regret to say so that we have not learned any lesson from Emri fire, or for that matter any other building fire, which has resulted into loss of such a life of such a magnitude. My condolences to the families who has lost their dear and near ones, and I pray for the recovery of the one who was injured in this fire.
Okay, in this particular incident, there were about 500 patients who were trapped. So, I mean, a lot were recovered. A lot were rescued as well, if we look at it. So, if we look at the fire services, then, once the fire is broken out, there could have been a much bigger tragedy. But obviously, the fire services, despite the situation that they were in, were able to do some good work.
Yes, I agree to that extent, and I think they have done a wonderful job. If there were 500 people and of those, limited number of them were affected really by the fire, and rest of them could be taken out by either the staff or by the fire service personnel. That's a wonderful achievement, but we should not also forget that we lost 23 odd people and 100 injured, which is a great number.
And a majority of those who died were in the ICU ward. Now, this itself is quite, it's mind-numbing, as the Prime Minister says, that, people in the ICU ward get burnt to death.
Yes, and we all know that the conditions of people when they are put into ICU, they are basically helpless people who need support at every moment of theirs. They are on ventilators, they may be on life support, other gadgets, they are on drips, and they need constant attention to recover. And if such things happen in that particular area, which is considered as the most critical and most sensitive, one can imagine the situation of the other areas.
Okay, so now tell us, this building is a 2005 building, so it's a new building relatively, it's a new hospital, and all hospitals have to follow the National Building Code, the guidelines also of the NDMA. Can you give us some of what actually these hospitals are supposed to follow, and perhaps what was not followed?
You see, these hospital buildings, or for that matter any other building, should follow the fire safety requirement which has been laid down in National Building Code. Say, for example, talking of this particular case,
let's say ICU, dialysis ward, these are where the fire started.
Yes. Now, the building per se, we look at it from the entire whole building as such, and building should have certain measures adopted into it, what we call it the inbuilt fire safety measures, so that those systems can respond in case of any eventuality. Now, systems consist of primarily approach to the hospital building, the exits and evacuation routes for the people who are in the building. That is prime importance. Then we are talking of fire extinguishers, we are talking of wet riser system, we are talking of hose reel system, we are talking of water safety arrangement, water tanks, water pumps, then rising mains, rising system. If lifts are there, then fireman switch. And above all, the one important aspect is smoke management system. Now, you must have noticed in all these particular fires, be it Emri, be it this particular incident, or what happened in Upahar, most of the people have died of the smoke, the smoke inhalation, because the smoke generation did not find any place to get ventilated. And in this particular incident also, they have to break down the glasses to actually ventilate the building. Now, if this building would have a smoke management system, that would have provided a tenable environment for the occupant, and they could have been breathing for a longer period of time, and by that time people could have been taken out. So I would
So
say,
how are all these things audited and assessed basically? The environment for, let's say, smoke, ventilation, for all these things. It can happen to any building. So
Yes.
I suppose one needs to check, and there's to be a system of audit.
absolutely, the fire safety laws say so that yes, these systems should not only be there, but they need to be maintained
Yes.
throughout their lifespan, and not only maintained. The people who are there, who are engaged in that building, should know how to operate them. You see, having a system is no good if you do not know how to operate them. So, first of all, the system should be available there. They should be maintained properly for their lifespan, and the people should know how to operate them. Then only we can think of a total safety of the people who are in there.
Sure.
And in such building, I would say that probably the need of evacuation of such a magnitude would never arise if all these things are maintained. Yes.
Also, most of the fires seem to be electric short circuit. So, this particular aspect also needs to be constantly checked. Would one say? One just doesn't presume that the electric lines are, always working properly.
Yes, you see, most of the fire originate from electrical origin,
Yes.
be it a overheating, be it a short circuit or insulation failure, whatever the reason may be attributed to. But this is one area where fire can be prevented very easily. Say, for example, small precautions we can take: provision of fuse in the circuit line, circuit breaker provision of earth leakage circuit breakers. All these things will go a long way in preventing. Sanctioning your load to which you are catering to. You have a 1 kilowatt load requirement, get 5 kilowatt sanction, so that you are not drawing much more current from the system.
Okay.
And overheating of wires can be avoided. Simple precautions: do not use multiple plugs in one socket. When you are using multiple plugs, you are basically drawing more current, and you can see black charring on the multiple plugs at times when you do so. And when you draw much more current, the system get overheated and insulation start burning.
Okay, so these are important precautions that even a common man can also
Absolutely,
keep in their own homes.
anywhere electricity is being used. These are
Yes.
simple, very simple precautions. The availability of fuse, availability of circuit MCBs, availability of circuit breakers. These are
Okay.
very simple. And get your wiring done from a qualified engineer. Why Tom, Dick, Harry should? You see, when you get ill, you go to a specialist doctor. Why we can't have a wiring done in our houses or in our buildings, in our hospital, whatever it may be, from a qualified person?
Okay.
And use ISI mark products so that you are assured of a quality product.
Right. So if, for precautions in the future, now we've identified that, okay, this has to be assessed and audited also, the systems that are in place. Suppose the systems are there. How does this done? Should this be given to an agency to do, or should the hospitals, let's say people who have been in the fire services like yourselves, are there enough people who are actually qualified to do the job, is what I'm asking.
Yes, there are.
It's not only left to the fire service department, is it?
Yes, you see, that's why I said the management who was there should have seen to it that there are enough people who comes daily, say doctor, nurses, security staff, fourth class staff, whosoever in administration, whosoever is there should have been trained in dealing with such emergencies. You see, such things cannot be left for the state fire service to take care. The first responder, who is the first responder? The people who are present. If something happens in studio, who is the first responder? I and you. If I and you do not know about anything about fire, how I'll respond? So all this stuff needs
Sure.
to be trained on a basic fire safety arrangements, as well as how they respond in case of any fire situation arising out of in that particular premises. Now, let me assure you, all fires normally start from a spark or very
Okay.
small as
Okay.
such. Now, if you can respond correctly to the situation, they will never get out of hand.
So you
And
are suggesting that all buildings where there are a number of people working should have fire drills regularly, because anyone can be a first responder at a point of time.
Absolutely, fire drills are necessary, and prior to that, we must have an awareness program, a training program for that, so that they behave in a fashion in which we require them to behave, so that they themselves do not get injured. And they do the desired, they give us the desired output as is the requirement of the situation.
Sure.
So we must have a qualified fire officer
Okay.
who can train the staff, or ask for the state help to let your staff be trained by them.
Okay.
And do a regular practice for it.
Sure.
Drill into your system that every month we will have one mock drill, or every quarter we will have one
Right.
mock drill, and get your system audited. Who stops
Sure.
you? It is
Okay, fair enough. But in a situation like a hospital, one final question.
Yeah.
You know, in an ICU or let's say in a dialysis ward where there's a lot of, let's say, medical equipment and perhaps not too many people around, just a few nurses. What is the situation then? Who can be the first responder? And, you know, I mean, first of all, those rooms itself, you know, how well should they be insulated from fires?
Yes, for the hospital requirement, looking at the occupancy, there are very stringent requirement. The area has to be compartmented. All critical area needs to be compartmented. Now, when I say compartmented, it means that anything happening in that particular compartment should not affect the other compartment.
Okay.
And in hospital, please note it that total evacuation is not possible. You have to shift people from one compartment which
Right.
is on emergency to a safe compartment, and
Yes.
this is achieved by provision of fire check doors, provision of fire curtains, provision of fire barriers, and there are particular guidelines available in National Building Code and as to how to do it, how to accomplish this task.
Absolutely.
And unless we plan it right from the beginning, we cannot achieve this when the building is totally complete.
Mr. A.K. Sharma, thank you very much for joining
My
us
pleasure.
here on
Thank you.
Newsnight.